We have no car because it is in the trailer. Today is going to be my first real official car show, and I'm learning a lot about logistics. Lot closes at this time. You have to have it trailered in the day before. You got to do this. You got to blah, blah, blah. So it's been a little crazy, but I managed to finagle my way to drive in the trailer this morning of the show. So we are going to do that and see what happens. So I only have still photography for this, but it was the day of the show. We were loading up the car. I've never loaded the car into the trailer, even though I brought some cameras and stuff like that. That went all out the window because I was so focused on the logistics of everything that had to be done to get to the show. So getting everything on the trailer was no problem. The ramps worked great that I created. Got the car in. The straps that I got are working perfectly for the application. I mean, everything was really fine-tuned and perfectly done, so I was really ecstatic about that. Now, as we went to the show, my neighbor Bob came with me. He's the one who took all these pictures. And he helped me get the car on. He helped me get the car off. I walked around the show for a while. Then he took off, and then he came back later to make sure I could get back on the trailer, bring it back home, all that kind of stuff. And so it just really went smooth. And the thing that was really interesting for me is the whole process. Like once I got to the show, I was super relaxed, and not just from the whole process of getting the car in the trailer and all these first things that I was doing. That is true also. But I really believe that there was like a 4-year ticker going on. And that ticker turned off the second that I landed at that show, because that was the first official real big show that I entered my car in. And so it took 4 years to get to that moment. And it was just a serene feeling. That's all I could explain, is a moment in time has shifted and we are on the other side of this build. Even though I have a few little things, like I got to get my fenders finished and I got to get the window trim in and I have to get a prop rod done. That's it. I'm hitting shows. I have a trailer. I'm fully outfitted. Like it's happening. And so I was just sitting in my little chair and talking to people and just having a blast and just totally relaxed at that point. And then loading up the car and coming home was totally relaxed. No big deal. Like, I've done this already. So just a really interesting experience for me to go through that process. The other thing I'll say is, man, having this side hatch was just, you have to have it to be able to get in and out of your car, unless, of course, you're winching your car up. And but everything worked out great. And you can see these pictures just show the car perfectly snug in there. It's great. So while I was at the show, I had everything propped up from what I learned from the other little kind of cars and coffee show I went to, that if people don't see that engine, they're just not, super ecstatic. And so, of course, the paint job's amazing. That looks great. They see the engine. They're like, wow, that's freaking amazing. You could see from these pictures how my tire paint is just like killing it. I mean, it just looks freaking awesome. In fact, I didn't even notice how good it looked until I'm looking back at these photos now going like, whoa, that's amazing. And then you could see on my windshield that I have these little plaques, if you will. They're laminated pieces of, instead of having like a billboard poster thing sitting next to the car that someone could knock into and it falls into the car, I decided to go the laminated route and put it on my windshields. That way people could get the same information. So I have one up front, I have one in the trunk that shows the bottom of the car and all the specs of the car, things like that. But I also parked next to a crane that's parked next to me. I didn't take a picture of it, so no one could be in the spot where we're taking the picture from. And so that gave full side view of the car, where everybody else was on top of each other. And so, and those two spots behind me filled in right afterwards. So it was a strategic placement on my part to make that happen, so people could really get a nice shot of the car.
So as I was going through, I have another artist that wants to have a car in a video, and she wanted a blue car. And so I started looking at other cars at the show and ended up talking to one of the owners and worked out a deal. We actually had the artist come down and kind of seal the deal to get this car going. And it's going to be cool. It's going to be just, a bunch of singing in the desert and stuff like that. And then some, driving in the car while singing, some rear view shots, stuff like that. So again, this is some of the stuff I do for a living. So if you check out the documentary, if you haven't seen the documentary and you saw the music video, definitely check that out on the channel. The making of, you'll actually learn a lot about the kind of stuff that I do. But in any case, we sealed the deal to use this car for a video coming up for one of my artists. And, I'm not going to talk a lot about that on this channel. However, because it's car oriented, I will definitely throw a link up or something so you guys can find it and show you a few shots of it. So I think, that's at least the right audience, if you will. So, and then I came across the vehicle that started it all. So about 5 years ago, came across this pickup truck that was done in a Tangelo Pearl that had a flat satin finish to it. And that's originally what I wanted to do my 33 in. And there's a few things going on here that are really interesting. So first of all, the reason I didn't do Tangelo Pearl with my car is because Greg, my friend who actually helped paint the car, his car is Tangelo Pearl. And so I'm like, well, it can't be two 33s in the town with the same color. I mean, you could, whatever, do whatever you want, right? But I was like, let's not do that. The other side of it was the flat finish. Just really difficult to keep up. You get oil on it, you're screwed. You're never getting that off. And now you got the finish is ruined and it's weird. That includes fingerprints and stuff like that. It's just really tough to get out. You have to use different types of soaps and waxes and all that kind of stuff to work on this stuff. And it's just, I've seen a few flat finishes where under the hood you just see where people got a few drops of oil while they're working on their engine or whatever, and it's just messed up. It's not show car quality. And so after a lot of research and even talking to like one of the head car designers for Chrysler, and he gave me some great stuff like, well, you could do a, section of two-tone gloss right around the door handles, so that's not flat. And you could do this and this. And he was giving me these awesome pointers because this guy's like the man doing all these crazy vehicles. But I love the look of it, but it's not worth. I'm a set it and forget it guy. And so that's not set it and forget it. That's super high maintenance. So the funny thing to this story is 5 years ago, somewhere around 2018, I think it was 2018 is when I saw this. This finish was freaking like super depth, like a gloss like you've never seen. And then like they just did the last, so let's say there's 4 coats of clear on here. 3 coats of the clear were gloss, and then the last one they put a flattener or a satin in there, and then they shot it. And so when you used to come up to this vehicle, there was a depth to it, even though it was still satiny. You could see through. I mean, it was just the most amazing thing I've ever seen. Well, as you see these pictures, that is no longer the case. So after 5 years of cleaning, sun, I'm assuming mostly cleaning and not sun, because I doubt this vehicle is sitting outside much except for a car show. It's flat. Like that whole depth and I don't want to say clarity, but it does not exist. It just got flatter and flatter and flatter over time, which I'm assuming is from hand washes. So this is awesome for me to see because this is real research. You know, every YouTuber does some kind of review or like, yeah, he shot this thing and it looks great. It's like, well, yeah, it's the freaking first day out of the booth. Sure, it looks great. What does it look like 3 years from now? Did it hold up 10 years in the sun? You know, that type of stuff. That doesn't really, you never get that information. And so for me to see this and actually get that information, I'm so glad that I did not go with a flat finish. Now, if I was going to do a 100% trailer queen that will never go anywhere except on the trailer to a show, which I've talked about my car being, but it really isn't. It really isn't. So, yeah, I could see doing a flat thing. It'd be cool. I could also see doing a rat rod, like patina type thing and doing that. That would be cool too, if that's the type of car I'm building. So the one thing about me is I'm not really pigeonholed to different philosophies and things like that. Like I keep the standards high, but I apply them to where they need to go. So if I'm doing a rat rod, then I'm going to sand a few things, leave the rest of it the same, and then I'm going to seal it in some kind of satin sealer. And it is what it is. I don't care if I wash it or whatever. If it gets worse, it doesn't matter. That's the patina. I don't care. If we're doing, you know, some kind of high-end, you know, supercar, then it will be a different way. And if we're doing the 33 for a show car, then it's that way. If I'm doing a 33 for a race car, then it's going to be a different way. But I'm going to do the best of whatever that is, you know. So, yeah, this whole experience was really cool, and it was great to see this car come back around in my life and see the results of it. And don't get me wrong, it is still a stunning vehicle. It was so done well. That is amazing. However, if it was in a gloss clear, it would be holding up like it did 5 years ago. And I'm not saying there's chips or anything like that. I'm not saying that at all. It's just the depth that I saw originally with that satin. You could tell it was satin over gloss. Now it's just satin or flat. Or it's not even satin. It's flat at this point. So things have changed. So buyer beware and that kind of stuff. So in any case, one of the things that I did is I specifically drove my car in the trailer to the show that was only 30 minutes away. I wanted to see what the brakes felt like and everything without having a brake controller, even though I was going to get a brake controller anyways, but I wanted to have that difference. So the next thing you're going to see is a video about me installing a brake controller and some of the other things going on with the trailer before I hit the next show. Till next time, have a great day.